Hello everyone, I'm Kate Hill and welcome to the Adviseable Advantage Property News Update. Before we get started, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on our further news updates, our Suburb analysis reports and our free webinars. Also, if you're enjoying all this free content, then please do click on that like button as well. So this week I'll be covering off on the economic cliff. Is it coming? National property prices are holding up better than expected. Outer suburb residential vacancy rates. Home search behaviour changes amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The latest Perth Property Report and a finance update. You can then jump to that particular segment that you're interested in if you don't want to watch the whole programme. Don't forget that we at Adviseable are out there every day, 24/7. We're looking at property, we're analysing property, we're buying property. We are truly at the coalface of what is really going on out there. We are here to help you if you have any questions at all or you need help buying property. The question that many people are asking at the moment is the economic cliff coming? Experts and commentators have been warning us for a long time now that it's coming. Lenders have been giving borrowers a pause on their mortgage repayments. These breaks were due to end soon, but with the support of APRA, lenders have recently announced an extension of those deferrals until the end of March 2021. At the same time, JobKeeper and JobSeeker are also not coming to a sudden stop. There is now a clearer outline of these next stages, allowing people to better prepare for what may come next. This is a much more gradual reduction in support. Both these stimulus and assistance packages were announced early on in the government's response to the unfolding crisis at the time. What would happen after the first 6 months wasn't announced, and everyone's fear was that the end of the assistance would be devastating. The government is looking at a more gradual reduction in payments. At this stage, the JobKeeper payment will continue to be available to eligible businesses until March the 28th and will be reduced in 2 steps. Businesses and employees will need to apply once again for that extension after the initial JobKeeper finishes on September 28th. It's also worth noting that the JobKeeper payment will continue to be made available to new recipients as long as they meet the eligibility requirements and the turnover tests that apply during the relevant JobKeeper payment period. JobSeeker is also changing. The coronavirus supplement paid each fortnight is being reduced. To make up for this reduction, the government is allowing those on JobSeeker to earn $300 a fortnight. The intention, of course, is to encourage people to get out and get work without having to worry about losing their financial support. And from the beginning of August this year, you will have to be actively looking for work to remain eligible for JobSeeker. So there is now a much clearer outline of these next stages, allowing people to better prepare for what may come next, and it should help prevent the worst case scenario for everyone. CoreLogic's data has shown that property prices are holding up better than expected during this pandemic. As we've reported before, this is a stark contrast to initial predictions from some economists of falls between 10 and 30%. In fact, even this week, there are still dramatic headlines showing outcomes which have been deemed plausible, but then discussed further as being highly unlikely given the strength of the Australian economy. Federal government wage subsidies and stimulus packages designed to support Australians through the COVID-19 period are really helping to keep that economy and property market solid. 3 capital cities' home values were higher or flat between March and July this year. Canberra being up 1.3%, Hobart is up 0.8%, while Darwin recorded no change at all. In the same period, price falls in the remaining cities were very modest, except for perhaps Melbourne. Brisbane values dropped 0.6%, Sydney fell 1.7% and Perth was down 2%. Latest data shows Adelaide home values have increased since COVID-19 intensified in March, and prices there are up 0.7%. Overall, house prices are up 2.4% over the past 12 months in Adelaide. CoreLogic says that Adelaide traditionally performs well during economic shocks because it has a lower percentage of investor-owned properties. Now, one thing, of course, to bear in mind, as I always say in these reports, that when you talk about a particular city dropping in value, that is not necessarily so across the entire city. There are markets within markets, suburbs within suburbs. So even in areas within Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, there is still price growth happening. Residential vacancies in outer suburbs and regional areas fell in July as tenants avoid their inner city units because of the COVID pandemic, and also because they're now able to work more from home. It's traditionally been cheaper to live further out of the CBDs, and so people are now taking advantage of those reduced rental costs. An SQM Research July report showed a drop in vacancies in all capital cities except for Melbourne, where it rose by 0.1% to 3%. Most of our capital cities have vacancy rates below 1.5%, but vacancy rates in the CBDs have remained high, mainly because of the transient nature of the people who have tended to live there. Students, travellers, people working in particularly coronavirus-affected industries such as tourism and hospitality. CBD vacancy rates were Brisbane at 13%, Sydney at 13.2%, and Melbourne at 8.8%. In comparison with this, vacancy rates in regional New South Wales Blue Mountains, for example, fell to only 1%, which is its lowest level in 10 years. On the New South Wales Central Coast, vacancies fell to 1.1%, while vacancy rates on the Sunshine Coast have fallen to 0.7%. The Real Estate Institute of Queensland has reported that some Queensland towns are having their tightest rental markets ever. They report that these latest figures show the state overall is facing the tightest rental conditions since the GFC. Domain research analysts say that the number of home buyers searching for a home office as part of their next property purchase has risen for the second time since the onset of the coronavirus. Keyword search data on Domain shows that buyers are also looking for extras like a home studio, a retreat, a garden, or a courtyard for extra space. This builds on that growing trend of more people working from home across Australia. With home-based working probably in most of our futures, it makes the distance to our workplace less important. For those who have the capacity to be home-based workers or even split their time between the office and home, the home buyer list of priorities will change. Domain says that the surge in searches in Victoria was much more pronounced than those in New South Wales, as Melbourne and Victoria, of course, have faced multiple lockdowns over this year. Victorian searches for a home office were up 1,107% between June and July. And this, of course, coincided with its stage 3 and 4 lockdowns, which forced more people to work from home. By comparison, New South Wales home office searches rose by a mere 17%. The largest increase in search criteria in New South Wales between June and July was for a retreat, and that was up by 78%. Terry Ryder tells us in his latest Perth report that a real notable feature of this property market is that many of the suburbs and areas with the best performance are at the affordable end of the market. First home buyers are a major force in Perth at present, more so than investors. This trend has been enhanced recently by the federal government's Home Builder Grant, which has inspired people to buy residential land to build new homes. The Perth market has shown a greater resistance to the pandemic impact than most Australian markets, certainly in terms of sales activity. The data shows a major increase in Perth residential sales in July for houses and especially for residential land. the Perth market is extremely active. Sales overall in Perth rose 68% in July compared to April, while sales of residential land increased 121%. In other words, land sales more than doubled. We have to ask ourselves whether Perth is making its long-awaited comeback, and the busiest markets also include those where vacancies are very low. There is upward pressure on rents, because that does usually translate into rising prices. So if anyone is interested in the Perth property market right now, I highly recommend that you take a look at Terry's latest report. I'll put a link in the description below. In finance, it is no surprise that the outbreak of COVID-19 has caused a huge increase in mortgage stress. According to the Australian Banking Association, more than 485,000 mortgage repayments were deferred between February and June this year. While this can certainly help in the short term, there are long-term ramifications that everyone should watch out for. One of Australia's leading mortgage broking firms, SmartMove, points out that the lenders aren't just giving you these payments for free. Instead, the amount of interest that you're missing is getting added on to the principal of the loan. And this is what we call interest capitalisation. So in short, after the mortgage pause, you will have a bigger loan and your repayments will therefore likely be more than before your payment holiday. And things like monthly fees, based on the size of your loan perhaps, could be added to your loan balance. So how can you avoid mortgage stress? Your circumstances are unique and our world is shifting week to week. Changes in the economy, the society, health, employment, and government support will affect every one of us in different ways. Knowing how government support is being delivered is one thing. If you are receiving this support, it can help you plan for the next few months. But there are many other things that you can do to protect your financial well-being and avoid mortgage stress. In these times, it's a good idea to reach out and get help. While sometimes it can feel like things are out of your control, you can take control of your mortgage or mortgages if you have multiple properties. So get in touch with your broker or a broker like SmartMove, and they can help you find the right financial product for you right now. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on all our fabulous free content, our area reports, free webinars, further news updates. Leave us a comment below, let us know if you have any questions, or please feel free to make suggestions about content that you would like. And please check out our website for more details on our services and how our advisors and buyers agents can help you. And I will see you soon. Bye.